Hi, everybody. Well, let's talk about something that can be a little controversial on cruise ships. Surprise, surprise. I'm covering a controversial topic. It is wheelchairs and mobility scooters on the cruise ships. So if you've been on a cruise ship recently, you probably noticed an awful lot of wheelchairs or mobility scooters all over the cruise ships. In fact, since 2018, mobility scooters have gone up 21% on cruise ships. That's a lot of going up in how many people are in scooters. People are getting older, people are getting injured, people sprain we were just on a cruise with my niece who twisted her foot getting off the plane or on the plane, and I had to rent her a mobility scooter to get around because she couldn't walk anymore. So she experienced this firsthand, and I did as well. And people are coming in and complaining about people in two senses. One, there you have the side that's saying, why are so many people in scooters? Why are you allowing this? Are they really can't get around, or are they just using this as a way to get into the cruise faster and get on the ship faster and get service in the elevators faster? And there's others that are saying that, hey, people are rude and they don't wait for us, they don't let us get into the elevators, and they're doing things, they get in our way. So there's two sides. And we'll start off with the one that's complaining about, say, the elevators. The elevators are always an issue on cruise ships. Although I do like the new elevators with the, you just press the button and which floor you want to go to, and it brings it to you, and you can't just randomly get in any elevator and press a button because there's no buttons in those elevators. That's terrific. People can't just do it, and it makes the elevator system go so much smoother. Well, one person says, why on the new ships do they not end up put in a wheelchair and mobility scooter only elevator? People do not automatically let us in. They jump on, leaving no room for those on mobility scooters or who have walking challenges or are in wheelchairs. So let's talk about that one to begin with. First off, I sail a lot, and the vast majority of times I will see people let people in with mobility scooters. The vast, vast majority of the time. People will hold the elevator, they'll move to the side, they'll let people get on and off all the time, all the time. In fact, they'll let them get on the elevator even though they were there first. But the people with mobility scooters also have to remember, if you're coming out of the theater and there's 70 people waiting in the elevator place, 100 people waiting in the elevator place, and you pull up, you don't automatically get first try at the elevator. There's 100 people there already ahead of you, right? You have to kind of wait your turn. So as long as you're doing that, then yes, you should be allowed on the scooter. If it takes up more room than another two people, so be it. I have no issues with that at all. But as far as putting a mobility scooter only elevator, first of all, would it be midship and then you have to travel to your room, or would you have to have one at each bank of elevators? And in that case, who's going to monitor that? Who's going to make sure that it's only people with mobility issues getting on that elevator? Well, you'd have to have a crew member there. And you'd have to not only have a crew member on the main deck, you'd have to have a crew member stationed there on every single deck by that elevator to make sure no one's using it. You couldn't even give a key card out, because then people would, what are you going to do? If two people are in the room, or a family's in a room, they get the key card. Well, their key card, the kid's key card, and those people's key card all use that elevator. And so if the kids are off by themselves, does that mean they're not going to use that elevator? Of course they are. They're going to use the key and get in as well. So yeah, that's out of the question. Putting a mobility-only elevator on the cruise ship just doesn't work financially. It doesn't work manpower-wise. Imagine hiring, 18 people for 3 shifts, by the way, to only watch an elevator. That's not fiscally responsible for any cruise line or any business out there to begin with. And as far as people jumping in front of you and that, there's going to be rude people everywhere, right? There's always going to be rude people and ignorant people. And it doesn't matter if you're in a scooter or not. Sometimes, we'll be sitting there waiting for an elevator and boom, people will come and just rush in ahead of us, even though we've been there waiting for like 10 minutes for elevators at some point. So yeah, it's going to happen, but let's face it, in the vast reality, the vast majority of people are very kind and very courteous and usually wait their turn and let people in. It's just the way it is. But those people who are just going to barge in ahead of everybody else, you can't stop it. It's going to be everywhere. There's rude people, and that's the end of it. Now, there's also the other side of the story, where a person wrote in and said the amount of mobility scooters on your ships are ridiculous. He wrote this in the John Heald. On no other cruise lines do I see the amount of scooters. Wow. I don't know. I see literally dozens and dozens of scooters on every cruise I've been on, so I don't know how many other cruise lines this person's been on. Do other cruise lines ask for medical proof before they are allowed on with mobility scooters? No. Nobody has to prove that you need a scooter. Nobody needs to prove that you're having a hard time walking. Some people can walk. They just can't walk long distances. That's why they get scooters. Some people can stand up and move across their room, but then they start getting sore and start getting hurt and their feet start hurting, etc. Their legs start giving out, their knees start giving out, and they need a scooter. So no, no cruise line out there demands that you have to show proof of being needing a mobility scooter. However, to book in a handicap accessible cabin, you need to be showing that you need an accessible cabin. You need to usually fill out a form, let the cruise line know ahead of time, and show up with some sort like crutches or something along those lines, right? As some kind of mobility issue. But they're saying that, they think that people are using this to just get things faster. Get priority in the dining, get priority going into the theater, get priority getting on and off ships, priority embarkations, etc. Priority getting in elevators and things like that. Now, I don't know anybody who's going to spend $300 or $400 renting a scooter just so they can get on the ship 20 minutes faster. I don't know if that's an issue. I don't really think that's an issue. Who's renting a scooter and driving around on a scooter thinking that they're getting better service on the cruise ships because they rented a scooter even though they don't really need it? So I don't believe there's fakers too much out there, maybe 0.111% or something like that. People have to understand there's various reasons for needing a scooter or a wheelchair. It's not necessarily that you cannot ever walk. It's just sometimes you have a hard time and you need that reassurance and the assistance of a mobility device. So yeah, and as far as it's only being on Carnival Cruise Line, I think you need to search some more cruise lines because I've been on 7 this year, 2023, 7 different cruise lines, and there were scooters everywhere.